I think the three non-negotiables are one, you have to get rid of, yes men or people that don't want to buy into the vision. So, you have those individuals that say, hey, this is how we've always done things. Those are the first people that need to go because they're
Okay.
not going to be down and open to your creative and innovative ideas.
Welcome to Podcast Wise, Perspectives, Business and Tech. In this episode of Podcast Wise, we sit down with executive leader and turnaround specialist Dewan Clayborn to deconstruct the mechanics of rapid organizational transformation. Drawing from his foundational experience in high-stakes retail management and a proven track record of doubling membership and reversing five-figure deficits, Clayborn shares his three non-negotiables for any executive leading a business unit through change. We dive deep into the strategic necessity of forward-thinking leadership, the critical role of data centers and quantum computing in regional economic infrastructure, and why the yes man culture is the silent killer of innovation. Whether you are navigating the talent crisis through innovative apprenticeship models or seeking to mitigate cyber risk within your supply chain, this conversation provides a roadmap for sustainable growth. Let's get started. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, Dewan, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. All right, let's break the ice a little bit. Here's my first question to you. You spent a successful period in management at big box stores before transitioning into your current position. What is the single most valuable, actionable lesson you took from those retail management environment that you still apply to high level organizational leadership today?
I think the biggest piece is being strategic and forward thinking. And I say that because honestly, the retail industry is probably one of the most resilient and forward thinking industries in the country. And for example, right now, I guarantee if you walk into any retail store, major box store, they already have Christmas items out, probably even have New Year's Eve items. So the fact it forced me to always be, 90, 120 days in advance. And so with that, now running a, chamber of commerce and, turning chamber of commerces around across the country, I'm always very forward thinking, proactive, trying to anticipate the next disruption, or when there is a crisis, anticipating how I can be a conduit and a problem solver to continue to add value in whatever community I'm serving.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Like because I've noticed that Christmas has gone earlier than what
See?
it used to be, right? Now, I think at one point it was I think September. It's
Yeah.
like already have Christmas out.
See?
Hello, like where's Halloween? Like
Right.
Halloween first. Let's get to Halloween. We just finished back to school. Let's get to Halloween, but you're already at Christmas. I was like, okay, all
Right.
right.
And people
You guys
already,
know what you guys doing. You guys did know what you're doing.
yeah,
It sells. So yeah, forward thinking.
exactly.
So you've been successful in transforming organizations, notably doubling membership and increasing financial reserves significantly. And then from a change management perspective, what are the top three non-negotiable cultural shift an executive must mandate to drive a rapid, successful turnaround in a business unit or even a struggling enterprise?
I think the three non-negotiables are one, you have to get rid of, yes men or people that don't want to buy into the vision. So, you have those individuals that say, hey, this is how we've always done things. Those are the first people that need to go because they're
Okay.
not going to be down and open to your creative and innovative ideas. And that leads to the second non-negotiable. Like you have to look at your plan of work or your streams of revenue or, what services that you're offering and really do a good assessment of this one has been profitable the last 3 years. Maybe we can look at how to tweak this and make it better. Or in a situation like I walked in here at Central Maryland, our gala over the last 3 years have lost us $5, $10, $15,000. So, we do have to have a gala, But now, basically looking at events or initiatives that lost money, is there a way to save it or stop doing it altogether
Mm.
and use that month or that initiative now to create something that is timely? And so something that I did with our gala, I stopped hosting it at, live casino, huge places that we couldn't even foot the bill. And I scaled back and went to more economical venues like Maritime Conference Center. Well, now, hey, it's not, the big shining bells and whistles, but we had a nice time. It was a nice ballroom, and we were able to profit, 10,000 plus. With in the prior year, we actually lost $20,000.
Yeah.
So that's the second one, and then the third one, non-negotiable, is you cannot try to please everybody. So, like, trying to please everybody is going to just put you back in that, rat race of just spinning your wheels. So, like, go in there, cast the vision, trust you as the subject matter expert and your proven track record of turning organization. Trust that and build that confidence and realize that people are going to fall off. They're going to try to slow you down, but stick to the plan because you can't make everyone happy.
That is true. You gotta, I guess they say, do you, boo boo?
Do you, boo boo? There you go. I like that. There you go.
All right. So, given the highly competitive environment among states for business investments, what is the single most urgent, actionable policy or legislative change you believe is necessary to improve Maryland's positioning for AI, biotech, and advanced manufacturing investment over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think that we need to be more open in data centers. Data centers are huge right now, and they're huge economic drivers to a state and also the county. And so, Frederick, they are doing a great job there with data centers, and they are seeing millions of dollars invested into that county currently.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to be open as a state of data centers, and then also be open as a state of creating more diversification across industries as far as revenue generating industries. Another big one is quantum. Right now, there is a huge race in the quantum industry, and we have a quantum hub here in Maryland. So how can we back these business owners? How can we continue to recruit more companies here and overall make it super easy for people to do business in Maryland? Right now, Maryland is in being business competitive. That's because in every county you go to, there are different rules about, permitting, licensing. There's no consistency. So we have to become more consistent across counties, to make it easy to do business, whether you're doing business in Baltimore County or Hartford County. So we need more consistency. We need to show more hospitality at companies that are looking or interested in Maryland. And then when they get here, we need to make it super easy for them to, develop, open their doors, scale, and then have new, and then basically get new locations to, create more jobs.
I totally agree with that. But I would say also, this is going to go into my next question, but the talent crisis, right? So I believe that we would need more talent here
Yeah.
and also to train, like the training, and especially in the specifics, right? So you're talking about quantum. Not everybody is interested in quantum. Let's make it interesting. Let's make
Right.
interesting AI interesting. Let's make tech interesting. It's because, and also not as difficult as people may think that technology is, right? So let's try to make it easier on the individuals to comprehend what, let's say, a firewall is in the technology world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is a data center? Why do we need a data center? What
Yeah.
is it, right? Because a
Right.
lot of people don't understand what is a data center. So they're scared that, environmentally, they're like, I don't know about this, because I saw a documentary that there's a lot of people that are living near those data centers and they're literally dying, right? So it's
Yeah.
that fear factor That's
Sure.
there. But there's also a lack of understanding why we do need those data centers. It's not just for the economy, but also it's I believe it's part of the infrastructure now,
Correct.
right? Because
Yeah.
without the data center, I can't work.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Right.
I can't work. I work on my computer. I do everything on the web. And if Google is down, if Amazon is down, if, like we had this AWS
Right. That just
that
happened.
went down, that a lot of stuff was not functional.
Right.
So just that, right? And I know there's a big push for data centers for AI, but it's not just that. I mean, the more people that are going online, the more data centers we will need. Where is this data going, right?
Right, right, right. And that's really what it's about, right? Like in this new world of AI, and post COVID, where, a lot of people are remote now. People are not, in offices like they used to. There is a lot more people online
Hmm.
doing a lot of data. And so you got to build more infrastructure to support it.
Yep. Totally agree. So, my next question is workforce availability is a top concern for CEOs, especially in high demand fields like cybersecurity and advanced technology. How should business leaders in the region strategically align their internal talent development programs with broader regional initiative to secure a competitive ta- talent pipeline?
I think they first should look at apprenticeships.
Mm.
So apprenticeships are really great because in some situations, like here in the state of Maryland, they have programs where if you have an apprentice, certain organizations like Anne Arundel County Workforce Development Corporation, they will pay you as the employer, they will pay for that apprentice. And
Mm.
so the best part is you get to work with them for 2, 3 months to see, hey, are they able to execute this role? Or do they have a good attitude? Do they fit in my culture? And so I think apprenticeships, internships are the best way, one, to attract talent, but
Mhm.
then two, ensure that, that is the proper talent for your company because we know when you hire someone, you have to fire them within the first 6 months. That costs double the amount of that employee.
Yeah. So now, how would a business owner, like, let's say that, you started a business, right? And you have no idea. You're just doing your thing. You're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm trying to get the bills paid. I have a new store, but I have no idea about this apprenticeships that's available, those programs that's available. How would they learn about those things?
So I think that's why it's important to, as business owners, to always be connected with a chamber of commerce.
Mhm.
If you're in Maryland, be a part of Central Maryland Chamber of Commerce specifically. The Chamber of Commerce, we are privy to so many resources that are there for business owners
Mhm.
that business owners just aren't aware of. So you want to be a part of a chamber. And, when chambers host events, for example, we just hosted last week the state of workforce. Then we bring in those leaders that are talking about these programs, apprenticeships, internships, all of these resources that the state has in order to train the next generation of leaders.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as an advocate for business, how do you balance the need for regulatory stability, key CEO priority, with the rapid disruptive nature of emerging technology like generative AI? Where should the line be drawn on early stage AI governance for businesses?
So, what I like to do is bring the experts in. And so what I mean by that is in September we had an AI and tech summit,
Hmm.
and so I brought all people in different areas of AI. And some of them they've started business around AI and governance. And, the thing is we have to realize that these are all tools. And just like we have to put governance guardrails around our companies and corporations, you need to do that same thing when it comes to AI.
Hmm.
And so one thing we're doing as a chamber, as you talk about what are the priorities, we are timely and relevant. And so if the industry is booming with AI, then that's why we create an AI and tech mastermind group. that where now all of our AI, tech, cybersecurity companies, that's their ecosystem, is that group, and they meet monthly to talk about trends and where we're going with AI and cybersecurity. So that's like my priorities are what the market dictates, right? And then also another way how I establish my priorities are my top investors. When they come in and they're investing, then it's like, okay, why are you giving this so much money to the chamber? What problems do you have? What can we help solve? And
Mhm.
once you start solving problems for people of that caliber, you are basically then noticing different trends in that industry, and then they're now they refer me to other people that are having those same problems, and now we're just going around and creating value for companies. And so basically how I identify is, what is the market saying, right? Like what's being pushed and advertised the most, which is AI, right?
Mhm.
So then bringing those experts to the chamber, and having events around it to educate business owners, and everyone else, but also having them have a hub here. And then from a priority standpoint, what are my biggest investors' pain points, right?
Mhm.
Like how can I help solve problems for them? And then they introduce me to other people that got problems and issues that then, become large investors, and I help solve their issues. So really being a problem solving chamber, but also keeping the pulse on the market to stay relevant and timely with all of our plan.
That's cool. So now, as a small and mid-sized enterprise are often the weakest link in the supply chain for larger corporations, what proactive measures should a C-suite executive take to vet and mitigate the inherent cyber risk posed by their smaller business partners and vendors?
Well, they should basically do a lot of educational opportunities with the teams, right? So,
Mhm.
like for example, it's funny here. There's always spam, right? So somebody will email one of my staff, and it will have Dewan Clayborn, but it'll say, "Hey, I need you to go buy these gift cards, and then I'll Zelle you, right, or something."
Mhm.
And so, like having those tests where you are, during your onboarding, hey, just know I'm never going to ask you to do gift cards, right? And then just know if you ever get a funny email from me, actually click on the name so you can see the email, and you'll see it didn't come from me. It just has my name. So really onboarding and
Training.
continuous training, right, throughout the year. Like don't just do it during onboarding, do it several times. And then one thing that our IT company does is they actually do like tests. So they will actually send those emails to staff and see if they click on the link or open it to say, hey, see, I got you. You're not supposed to do that. So I
Mhm.
think just always keeping it top of mind, onboarding and continuous training is just a way to help mitigate it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Training is key in cybersecurity, learning what to click and what not to click
Right.
because humans are, you know, phishing emails are like probably like 95% of why a business can get hacked.
Yeah.
And the Maryland digital infrastructure modernization is critical. What is the most significant, often overlooked infrastructure challenge beyond just broadband access that is currently hindering digital transformation for major regional employers?
I would say, honestly, energy. And so when we think about like our power grid, right, we're on
Mhm.
a grid with several other states. When we think about as we are putting data centers here, right, we have to, that data center sucks in so much energy and power. And so as we're looking at, bringing more in, we have to become more of a sustainable state. We have to incorporate more solar power, and so that's really going to be a big topic, in next year's session is like talking about like energy and power consumption
Yeah,
because we don't have a lot of supply.
yeah. So now we need to, solar would be next best thing to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. But then the thing is, here in Maryland, again, because it's not business friendly, it takes 2 years for to them to even get a solar plant up. So it takes a whole year of to get like a site approved for solar, then a whole year to actually develop it.
Mhm.
So the thing is, it's a 2 year wait, a 2 year wait.
Whoa,
Right.
that's a long time.
That's my point. Right.
So you've written on the next generation of nonprofit leadership.
Yes.
What core strategy from turning around a scaling nonprofit organization is most directly transferable and impactful for a for-profit CEO struggling with issues of corporate culture and long-term sustainability?
You know, I would say, one of my chapters is called Creating a Winning Culture. Okay. So the way you do that is you have to look at what are your core values as an organization. What are your mission? What's your mission, your vision? And then you want to hire for that. So a lot of times when people are trying to turn around an organization, they don't have the right people in the right seats on the right bus going the right direction. And so you have to look at, your team, your staff. And that's another issue. Sometimes people are like, hey, this person's been here umpteen years. Well, are they still in alignment with where you're trying to go? Are they open to maybe sometimes getting to work a little earlier, staying a little later to buy into your vision? As long as, your team has a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset, there's probably an opportunity to keep them. However, if they aren't, you have to be okay with being the CEO and letting that person go. And good things happen when people don't, and companies. They can probably find a job that they actually are passionate about and thrive in and be happy. And so I would say as you're looking at the culture, you got to first come up with your company's core values or reassess your core values. If you have core values and you haven't looked at them in 10 plus years, that's a problem because you hopefully are a different organization than you were 10 years ago. So it
Mhm.
starts with the core values and then your mission and vision, and then you hire for that. And if you already have staff here, you show them that and have them know, like, hey, this is where you're drawing the line. Otherwise, if they don't want to get on that bus, give them the opportunity to get off the bus.
Now, considering the high costs associated with compliance in sectors like healthcare and defense contracting, what is your perspective on creating market driven solutions that enable compliance without disproportionately burdening small business and complex regulatory frameworks?
I think that businesses need to look at more ways to partner when it comes to, let's say, contracts. So something that we do at Central Maryland Chamber is we have a military affairs advisory council group. And on that group, we actually meet with Fort Meade monthly. We're the only chamber in the state of Maryland that has that military affairs advisory council. And so we do events with how to do business with NSA, how to do business with this, how to do business with Cyber Command. So like we actually bring our members and bring them there and they tell them how they can win contracts. And so
Mhm.
that's one way. And then when you do win a prime, look at partnering with subs. Then you can share a lot of these licensings because you can go under their license. So really a lot more collaborations and partnerships so that now it can become a shared cost and not just one company footing that bill.
Fair. That's smart. You were mentored early in your career at a nationally top rated organization. How has that foundation in grade A training shaped your approach to executive decision making and your emphasis on developing future leaders in the organizations you oversee?
It was really a huge blessing. I had the opportunity to be, mentor and work with one of the best chamber presidents in the country. And at that point, I had no idea. I was kind of new to the industry and just like,
Mhm.
man, she's really on me. She would stay on me and make sure she wanted everything top tier, perfection. And it wasn't until I went to my first turnaround chamber that I learned that all chambers don't operate that way. And so
Mm.
now all I've really been doing honestly is, taking that blueprint and now when I go to other organizations, using that same strategy, but then reframing it and giving it the Central Maryland twist or, whatever city or state I'm in twist, but I was able to get that model and that blueprint and really take it and reduplicate it all over the country and help make chambers better and stronger.
Oh, that's good. Now, given the regional economic reports highlighting slower GDP growth compared to the national trends. What specific sectors within the central Maryland economy, outside of the federal government, do you see as having the greatest untapped potential for a surge in venture capital and executive level investments?
Quantum computing is the next thing, and it's here. And major cities like Chicago, I think New Mexico, they are putting a lot of resource and dumping millions of dollars into quantum computing and making sure that they are investing in that. So I would say quantum computing is the next thing.
Okay. Let's go a little bit on the personal side. So you played Division I basketball in college. How does the mindset and discipline required for collegiate level athletics translate into your current role in high stakes organizational leadership in advocacy? I, you know what?
Yeah, I'm with you. So I think that, me being an athlete, I actually have developed a lot of transferable skills. For example, I was the point guard. And so if you know anything about basketball, they are the floor general. So they're the leader on the court. And so from a leadership perspective, I had these traits and didn't even really realize it. Also, I was the spokesperson. And so a lot of times people are like, man, you do really great at public speaking. But that's because I was in front of a camera since I was, 5 to 10, well, probably 10 to 15, being that spokesperson and being the floor general. Then lastly, learning how to manage different personalities. As an athlete, I had a lot of different teammates, and some of them were motivated different ways. So being able to, tailor my message and really start customizing it based on who I'm talking to is something that allowed me to easily do that, in the business world now, especially as president CEO, when I'm meeting all type of different people.
Yeah. So your focus in philanthropy includes creating educational opportunities for students. What sparked that deep commitment to educational foundations and scholarship?
Well, I was very blessed to have a lot of people sow and mentor me growing up. And so I'm a firm believer that, God blesses us to be a blessing to others. And so for me, if I want him to use me the way I want, I have to give more. I have to sow more seeds. So now he can replenish me with more to give out even more. And so I actually started a scholarship probably about, maybe 5 years ago now, where I give a scholarship to 4 different seniors, and it's an essay contest. They write an essay on they write an essay on what is your why. And so I specifically picked that because I want them to start thinking about early, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? What are you passionate about? Why do you do the right thing when you could do the wrong thing? Really starting earlier to think about, your calling and purpose in life. And then now when you're in college, you are more laser focused on, what classes you want to take, what do you want to do. So really trying to help people kids think of early on, what's your why, that hopefully then you will discover your passions and your traits a lot earlier.
That's great. Now, I think that's it. I don't have any more questions for you.
Okay.
So thank you for joining me on this episode, Dewan. It was a great conversation. Thank you to the Wise crew for watching, and see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.